It's Friday, so why would Paul be at home? We are back, everybody. Paul is in
Yeah,
Boston.
not going to be home many weekends over the next month or so.
Well, couple things on the agenda. Tuesday of Build, I believe, from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Pine Box. If that name sounds familiar, which it probably doesn't, but that's where we had the meetup last year, and that's
Yep.
where it will be happening this year.
Really? Who's running that meetup?
We are.
Oh, we are. Oh, good.
This now, to Paul's defense, this was just kind of Mary Jo was helping us figure this out, and
Okay.
yeah,
Because Mary Jo and I decided not to have like we often do like a build blogger bash kind of thing.
yep. I think Tina had a play in this one. There's no surprise there. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
I'm not surprised that Mary Jo neglected to mention this to me. She knows how I feel about people. But um, yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Well,
So if you're free
so you said
Tuesday
it's
evening,
Tuesday at
yeah,
what time?
7 to 9.
7 to 9. Nice. Okay.
It,
That's
it's
a nice
base.
place.
It's if you went to Build last year and went to the meetup, it's like that. But this year,
Right. Yes.
hopefully,
Okay.
Microsoft won't be filming something there before we crash it. But
Yeah,
remember
exactly. Exactly.
that. And then if that one doesn't work out for you, you can come hang with there. You can not do that, but you can come hang out with us at Shift Happens, which happens in June in Washington D.C., and we'll have a meetup there as well. And so that should
Can't
be a
wait.
good time.
Wait for that one. This is good stuff. I think I told the story, but at some point earlier in the year, Tina she kind of couched. She's like, guys, I got some bad news, and she's like, I figured out the travel we have for this year, and then she's like, we got to go to obviously Seattle for Build. It's like DC for Shift Happens. You got to go to Miami for VeeamON, and I
Hmm.
was like, this is not bad news. This is very good news.
Yeah, East Coast is much more preferred than West Coast for a lot of this stuff.
That's true, but it's not just that. It's like these are places I want to go.
Yes.
A lot of times you're like, hey, you're going to Orlando, or hey, you're going to Chicago, and it's like, like come on. So these are all places that are great. Like New Orleans would make this list.
Oh, New Orleans was fun. Well, you loved the
Yeah,
trains there too. That was
yeah, I love
in the
New Orleans.
boats and the bridges
I know, I know.
and all
That's
that.
why I liked Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was a lot of boats and bridges and trains.
It's good old steel.
Yeah, not anymore, but
Wow.
yeah, I guess yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of good old things, Slack, which is Microsoft's biggest competitor, well, I should say probably their biggest competitor in the messaging space, not necessarily the full productivity space. That might go to G Suite. Filed
Sure.
for their IPO today, which gives us honestly, probably the first real look at their financials. And
Which
I
are
was
great.
I was really surprised by this. I
Were
thought
you?
that, yeah, I was. Mostly because Slack lost $140 million last year on $400 million in revenue, which is improvement over the previous year. They increased the revenue and lowered the percentage of losses, but still.
You
Um,
ever go to a dog race, or I guess a horse race would be like this too. The animals are all kind of lined up in their gates, and somebody fires a gun, and the gates go off, and the animals come launching out of the thing. This would be like that, except that they all tripped and fell over each other and injured themselves right away, and none of them actually ran.
yeah, I kind of. I
Thank
will
you
nod and agree and move on.
for
And
patronizing that.
yeah, it says that they have 88,000 paying customers, which is a lot. I mean, that's sizable. But
Sure.
I'm just really surprised that they are losing that much money.
88,000?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I guess is a lot less than Microsoft's 180 million commercial customers for Office
Oh,
365.
sure, but I mean, this is a small startup.
Mhm.
I'm sure I'm sure the losses are all based on startup costs.
Yeah.
Essentially, right? I mean, launching a new business like this is expensive, but
Hmm.
I'm surprised. I was surprised the loss. I'm
Yeah.
surprised by the loss.
That's. I mean, I wish Slack the best. It's great to have them as a competitor, or Microsoft needs them as a competitor, I should say, because Teams
Mm,
probably candidly wouldn't exist if
yep.
Slack had never materialized. Um, I just really thought that they would be like pretty far into the black, but
Yep.
mhm.
Well, I think this is so. I'm not like IPO guy or anything, but I mean, I know there are a lot of companies like some of the ride sharing services are starting to
Yeah.
go public. And like the thing I had read or had seen somewhere was this notion that it was like, remember all those big internet companies and how they all like launched these really successful IPOs and everything? Well, there's a new generation coming, and they're all going to have massive losses,
Yeah.
And I think that's just maybe it's just the reality of the world today. It's just no longer possible to to launch new businesses now in this environment with the established businesses that are out there, and and do so in a way that's like immediately profitable.
Yeah, I mean that very well could be true. The challenge is that these companies at some point will have to make money, which means if you're a
Yeah.
customer, there's two ways that's going to happen. They're either going to start charging you more, which in Slack's case, they'd probably have to charge about 3 times as much per customer, based on
Right.
if they bring in 140 and they lost 400, they need raise that, or they got to find a way to cut costs.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. Slack, it seems like the startup cost would be a lot less than say for like an Uber or a Lyft or
Sure.
whatever. I sort of think of this company as being a lot like a Dropbox maybe,
Hmm.
or a like Evernote even, although Evernote is significantly smaller still. But but still, the idea is you're making software. I mean, you have some number of users, and you have some number of paid users.
Hmm.
I mean, it seems like this could be a profitable venture, you know. So like I said, like you said too. I mean, it's a little surprising, and I'm curious. I don't know. I didn't look at it yet. I was driving, I was driving all morning, obviously. But
Yeah.
um, I'm curious. Did they explain it at all? I mean, did they know?
There's not, I didn't read their full IPO. I just caught some highlights, such as they have 575 companies paying more than $100,000 for their subscriptions.
Well,
That's, yeah. So
huh,
88,000 of that, 500 and we'll just say 600 paying more than 100 grand each. That's a lot of,
yeah.
that's a lot of
I'm
slacking.
surprised. Surprised Slack is still a standalone company. Frankly, it seems
Oh,
like
yeah.
obviously Microsoft could have and then declined to buy them. Google seems like they would be a good
Mhm.
choice. Or
Amazon,
other
even,
Amazon.
potentially.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And speaking of Amazon, this will make you happy, I'm sure. Did you see that they're contemplating or rumored
Yeah.
to be launching not the room music service we talked about last week, but another one, like the higher end, a high fidelity version of Amazon Music? Because why not?
No. Yeah, boy. So, as confusing as what they had announced last week was, or eventually announced, this it at least made sense, right? In other words, Amazon's customers are kind of I would say span a spectrum, of course, different types of people and different types of incomes and all that kind of stuff. But, they don't really have any high-end brands, They
Mhm.
don't, and maybe that's somewhere they go, where they have like a kind of a Neiman Marcus style thing that is like upscale version of Amazon or something. But launching like a premium, like a audiophile category music service, like what?
They should call their premium brand the Bezos.
The basis. Yes. Um, that's good. Yeah, I don't see it, and I think a company like Apple could pull it off.
Hmm.
We know there are some, like, isn't Tidal kind of a high
Yeah, Tidal
quality thing?
pitched. That was one of their pitches, that they had higher fidelity. There was also that music player,
Yes, the what's that guy's name?
Panos player or something.
I wasn't thinking of that. There was was that the one that was backed by Neil Young or whatever?
Yeah.
And it was
What was that
okay.
called?
So maybe it was the same thing. But that type of thing, I don't know. I just saw. I don't remember the name of the company, but some kind of a high-end stereo brand
Hmm.
this week just launched like a premium set of smart speakers, kind of rival Sonos, and like that kind of thing makes sense to me because it's a lucrative market. It's a small market. You kind of want a small company makes sense for that kind of thing, like
Yeah.
a Cambridge Soundworks kind of a thing. Amazon, though, is just they're a mass retailer. They're Walmart, right?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously they have a huge audience, but I don't think you're making a really cheap music service for people who are listening to music out of a tin tube, like an Echo, right?
Hmm.
And then you're like, hey, yeah, you know what else we should do? Is make this other thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. We spent too much time on this already, but it just doesn't make sense to me.
That thing was called the Pono player, not
Pono.
Panos, not the Panos. That's Panos Panay.
Sure.
But I could also see Sonos potentially launching like a high fidelity that would fit their whole premium market brand. But
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
With the Pono player, you said?
Yeah,
Was
Pono,
that where
Pono.
did that guy from Microsoft go there? The guy who actually was on Surface before, and he was on MSN long before that. Geez, he went to a
You're not talking Charlie
audio.
Kindle, are you?
No. No, he went. Well, he did Echo,
Yeah, no, I know. He left.
but he left. Yeah, no. There was a guy who left Microsoft to go work at a high-end audiophile kind of thing, and that business never succeeded. And he went
Brian Hall?
Brian Hall.
Yeah, but no, he didn't go there. He went somewhere else.
Okay, he went somewhere else. Okay,
Which,
I think he went to Amazon by the way.
yeah, now he's
afterwards.
he's at Amazon right now leading some of their cloud marketing stuff, I believe.
Sure. Yeah, he's a good guy.
He is. He's a very good guy. And then the other thing, too, which just happened, breaking news, if you will, Windows 10 build 1, oh, geez, there's a bunch of 8s in this, 1.8885 is now available. Includes the new phone app, which I think you wrote about this morning, is now updated. The long-awaited updates to Narrator are also included, if that's been your thing.
Actually, it's kind of amazing how often Narrator has been updated. If
It
you
does.
follow the Windows Insider stuff, I mean, they updated that technology quite a bit.
Yeah, the only thing updated more frequently than that, I think, is Defender.
Exactly. Yep.
And those are the big ones. And then if you had that blocking bug that they were doing on the previous builds, that has been removed, and you are now free to install that update.
This is a 20H1 build?
Yes. 19H2 still remains elusive.
Right.
For now.
I'll take a look at this after the podcast, but hooray.
Yeah, so that would be skip ahead, which means what we've got a week and 1 day until build? No, week and 2 days. We'll be in build. We'll be in Seattle together.
It's unbelievable contemplating this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, Paul. I mean, that's kind of the major news in the past 24. Oh, the other thing, too, which this was spotted by Pure Infotech. Actually, this was a really good spot by him. The latest update, the May 2019 update, is going to increase the minimum required storage to 32 gigs, up from 20, which may not sound like a big deal for most people unless you have a low-end machine or an older machine and you've kind of just been scraping by. This very much could put some people out of the running for updating their machines.
Yep. Yeah, these limits had been in existence since the first version of Windows 10, and they never changed. This is the first time they've changed. And I know they're putting aside extra space now for updates and that kind of thing too. Maybe that plays a role in it. But I always sort of thought about it in terms of new devices. And when Windows 10 was still brand new and Windows 8 was still kind of kicking around, there was still this notion of maybe these like kind of tablety devices, small tablets, etc. And a lot of those devices come with 32 gigs of storage, which is really low. Not to mention like eMMC storage, which is really, really slow. And I feel like, in the book that I have, the Windows 10 Field Guide, I recommend dramatically higher limits, even, just for normal people. I mean, I think 128 is the minimum, and it has to be SSD, not eMMC. But I think for most people, just to have adequate performance. Same thing with RAM. They have these bizarre low minimum requirements. But I think that as Windows 10 has evolved, it's kind of been a lot more PC centric, and for like a real computer, like a laptop, a desktop computer, whatever. I mean, I think the limits go up still. I know we still have some smaller devices, like the Surface Go was probably the obvious example, but I think for the most part, these limits are just something to smile at and forget because they're so ludicrous. But most people are going to need more than that.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be an edge case, if you will. Not referring to the browser or Microsoft's IoT solutions, but actual edge cases.
Right.
Yeah, that's just something to keep in mind if you're an update. It's got to be related to some of the reliability stuff so that they can roll back updates easier and do more performant or more, what are they called, front loading of the install. So it's not a 90-minute affair.
Yep. That's actually one of the neat things, because that stuff can happen while using a computer. You don't even know it's there. And this is, hey, by the way, you get a reboot. And instead of taking 40 minutes or 30 minutes, it takes like 7 or 8 minutes. It's crazy. It's actually really quick.
Yeah. No, they've done a good job. They've done a good job on making things less bad with that process. And so.
Right. The suctitude that they caused is now not as bad.
Yeah. I think suctitude is an appropriate word.
Yep.
So, all right, Mr. Thrat, you got anything else from the Yellow Brick Road?
Not really. I'll write up that build, and
Okay.
I'll try to do it. I think I will be able to do asphalt today as well. So that will be my afternoon pretty much.
Wow.
How about you?
Not a whole lot. It is raining, pouring outside. It's actually chilly, but it's nice to say that chilly is 53 degrees as opposed to like 5 degrees or 35 degrees. So it's a little chilly. Windows are shut, if you will.
Yep.
But that is about it. Well, folks, that wraps it up for today. We very much appreciate everybody tuning in. We should be back next week for a partially regular programming until Paul decides to get on a plane and go to Vancouver. And then the week after that is build. And then we got some other fun things coming up. So have yourselves a wonderful week, and we'll catch you right back here next time.